And welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Just want you to know what a pleasure it is just to be here with you. Just to be with you. To feel the energy, to know that there's a connection among all of us, not only to each other, but with everyone else and with everything in the universe as well. It's just nice to be with you. A couple of comments before we begin today. You should have received on Saturday, or at least on Sunday, 6 tools for conscious evolution. A beautiful email with our meditations, especially those that are on our website. I encourage you to browse those 6 tools of conscious evolution. Use the meditations. I think they'll be very helpful to you. Also, I want to mention that tonight, Sunday, from 6 to 7:30, we'll be having our open forum and the testimony from Jacqueline Samuel. Just go to our website, nowcreations.org, click on study groups, scroll down to open forum tonight from 6 to 7:30 p.m. I hope you'll be able to join us. After spending 2 months on the very important issues of independency and physical death, I felt that it was time to return to some of those everyday issues, although I highly encourage you to really ponder the teachings on independency and physical death that we had in the last 2 months. They will truly serve you immeasurably as you advance in your consciousness. But I felt that now was the time to return to the everyday things that just make such a difference in our daily practical living. The result is today's teaching entitled, The Most Important Daily Thing. The most important daily thing, and why. I will begin by telling you what I did to set some priorities in my life, then focus on the most important priority and why it is so, and then point out some not-so-obvious things concerning this highest priority. Let's begin. Over the past several weeks, I've just felt my life getting a little busier and more complex. I simply felt a need to take some time to make a list of priorities for myself. We all have to do this every once in a while. I did so by making a list of my activities that fell into 3 categories. The first category was very important things that I would probably do every day. I had 11 such things. The second category was somewhat important things that were concerns, but not as important as the very important things. I had 8 of them. And then I made a list of the less important things that really didn't have an urgency and really were not of great importance. I had 3 of them. Now, before I proceed, may I suggest that you might want to take a personal inventory of your own self, writing things down, perhaps maybe according to these 3 categories: very important, things that are somewhat important, and those that are less important. Writing them down oftentimes reveals to you something that you did not see. Quite frankly, it revealed to me something that I did not see, and perhaps it'll assist you as well. So let me now return by starting with those most important things, those very, very important things in my life. At the top of my 11 very important list was to be in the, I'm sure you're not surprised, to be in the all-the-time presence of the God Spirit in my daily living. To be in the all-the-time presence of my God Spirit in my daily living. And then I listed all of the other important things that would be very helpful to me, such as my daily meditation, and then my daily exercises with the energizations of Paramahansa Yogananda, the yoga, And then lastly, of course, my daily work with Now Creations. Well, then it struck me. I couldn't believe that I didn't see it at the beginning. But now it was quite evident. I clearly saw that there was one thing. There was one thing that I had listed in my very important list. It was head and shoulders above everything else. It was much more than just a very important thing. It was the most important thing. It was in a category all by itself. I suggest that you probably know what it is. The most important thing that you and I are capable of being. The most important thing is to be in the God Spirit all the time. To daily, each moment, to allow the God Spirit to be the self that I have become. Let me repeat this. To allow the God Spirit to be me, to be the self that I have become, because it's me. At one time I would have thought that this all-the-time presence of the God Spirit as me was impossible. Quite frankly, because I still had too much baggage. I had too many old thoughts, old emotions that weighed me down. But this week, I felt quite different. I felt that this all-the-time presence was not just what I wanted, but rather it is what I had become. It is what I had become. Little by little, but more and more through all the study groups and sessions that we have shared, through all of the work that we have done together, through all of the thoughts and the inspirations that we have shared with each other, I felt different. I was ready. And quite willing to be the daily God presence. Better yet, to be the all during the day God presence. I used to smile to myself long ago when Paramahansa Yogananda would say, God, 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 God everywhere. And all of a sudden, that's what I felt. God, 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 this presence, this internal knowing, this me was the God Spirit. God everywhere, in me, around me, through me. Now, as you might expect, I then began to reflect on being this all-the-time God presence. These are the thoughts that came to me, which I very happily now share with you. First, I really felt that the God Spirit had been growing within my soul for quite some time. But I still had to take the responsibility of claiming it. I had to say to myself, as you will have to say to yourself, that I have made the shift from simply being a limited human being, a nice person, to claiming the self that my source has given to me as my true, unlimited spiritual being. At one time, this claiming might have seemed impossible, but today, it felt right. Notice I said that it felt right. And it feels right now. Something within me was viscerally saying, yes, yes, yes. You are now ready. In fact, the inner voice said to me, it's taken you quite some time. What have you been waiting for? Let's go. Again, the voice was gentle, but it certainly made the point. Now was the time. Now is the time. Secondly, well, I realized that the most important thing is my daily, all-the-time presence. I also realized the importance of doing my daily spiritual practices, which sustain that all-the-time presence. From my daily meditation and energization exercises, from preparing for our now creations, teachings, and lessons, to, quite frankly, practically following those beautiful cards, those 10 steps to daily enlightened living. Those were the things that I knew that I needed to sustain the practice. But something new happened here. These supportive practices, meditation, preparation, 10 steps, these spiritual practices now took on a joy. They were what I wanted to do in the midst of the day. Let me say it again. My spiritual practices became what I wanted to do because they were the sustaining basis for the joy of being in my all-the-time spirit. Just say it again. My spiritual practices are the basis for the joy of being in my all-the-time God Spirit. Somewhere along the way, your practices will have to be the same realization for you. That you will come to see that your practices, your daily practices, will enable you to achieve that highest sense of self, namely the God presence within you. It is through our practices that we advance to the higher consciousness and become willing to move into that higher spirit. This willingness to change your sense of self from being a very nice but human self-identity to an even greater spiritual self, that's the big shift. That's the big shift. It cannot be forced, but it also cannot be denied when the time is right. The time was right for me. Perhaps the time is right for you. It is a unique invitation from our Creator to each one of us. Our Creator invites us to be in His Spirit, that wonderful, wonderful presence. It comes only when you're ready, when the time is right. But it does come, and it will come. May we embrace such moments and rejoice in the invitation to ourselves as well as when it's extended to others. The third point. The third point concerns something that was very obvious to me, but then it was followed by some not so obvious points, which were quite expansive. First, the obvious point. What was very obvious to me as I assumed my all the time daily sense of self is that it really is an all the time sense of self. In fact, it is the only unchanging, permanent self that we really have. Please listen closely. Your God Spirit self is your permanent, unchanging self in an ever-changing world. This power within you, this stable power, is the most important thing of life. Let me explain very practically. The God Spirit is you. The God Spirit is you, is your permanent, unchanging stability point in the midst of a world that is always changing. The God Spirit in you is your conscious, permanent, unchanging observation point from which you view the changes in the world, changes in relationships, changes in your own body, in work, in finances, in society, in our country, in the world. Rather than being caught in the dramas of everyday living, your God Spirit becomes the reference point of your life. To understand that the God Spirit is the way you filter everything else. And not only does it enable you to deal with the changes of life, the everyday things that just come and go, but it also enables you to add to the beauty of life. Even when life continues to change, there is something within you that is raising the quality of everyday life, because the presence in you is raised. Do you not see that? Not just to deal with what you have to deal with, but to raise the quality and the beauty of the everyday. Life changes, but you do not. Life changes. You do not. You're consistently, daily, in the God Spirit. You continue to be that loving, creative energy that you are, extending your goodness, your support, to wherever you are involved, wherever you are invited to be. You are not only the calm in the midst of a storm, but you're the calm in the beauty of life. Don't you see that? You don't just calm the storm, you raise the beauty. Let me add a piece. Your calmness usually comes by modeling an appropriate behavior in the midst of your daily living, understanding that you are meant to be wherever you are as the presence of God. Sometimes we wonder, why am I here? What am I doing here? May I simply suggest what you're doing there is to be the presence of the God Spirit. Oftentimes, when we are that presence, we're then able to give what is so appropriate to the occasion, as well as to receive abundant blessings for ourselves. Never doubt where you are. Never doubt where you are. And as Matt Kahn said in his titled book, whatever arises, love that. Whatever arises, love that. That's where you are meant to be, and that's the presence that you are meant to bring. We're doing this. We're doing this. What a joy it is to love whatever arises. Fourth, now a comment about what is not so obvious. What is obvious is that each one of us has this presence within us. And we have journeyed. We've worked hard on coming into a daily understanding that we are the God presence in the world. That we are an expanding light in a physical body. That's obvious. That's obvious. What is not so obvious, however, is looking forward to where we are going. What is not so obvious is to look forward to where we are going, not simply to release what's in the past, but rather to be able to look ahead. And what I would suggest to you is that when you look ahead to your future as the God Spirit, you might see these three things. The first one, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Progress from where you are. Progress from where you are. The universe, God, has situated you very appropriately at this moment. There's no need to change where you are. You've really done the more important thing by changing who you are. You don't need to change circumstances. You've done the most important thing. You have become the presence of the God Spirit. Secondly, may you continue to listen to your intuitions, especially your present one, of being the God Spirit day in and day out, of being the presence of the divine here in the material realms. Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your inner voice. You've trusted it more and more than you ever have, and you see the growth that it has brought you. There's no need to change the inner voice. Just continue to listen. Listen to it for your growth. It will never fail you. You have the Holy Spirit of all of life as your personal guide. And lastly, simply show up in life. Show up and be guided. Just as you would never have expected that you would advance to the place that you would say, well, I'm the presence of God in my daily living. Just as you have advanced to this stage, does that not augur well for you of the unexpected joys that are going to unfold in your life? Allow your goodness to decisively guide you. Allow that goodness, that spirit within you, to decisively guide you. Know quite well that your soul spirit is now in charge, and it is providing you with the greatest ride forward you're ever going to have. Just stay willing and stay tuned. In conclusion, I felt that it was important to return to the everyday living, but to return to the everyday living as the God Spirit. This is the most important thing we will ever be in life. Each day, to consciously claim, I am the God Spirit. I am what God is doing in the world. I am here to bring heaven to earth. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. That's the truth. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Let us begin as we normally do by simply focusing on the breath, just breathing in and breathing out. And as we do so, to allow our bodies to relax, our minds to empty, and to bring your soul, the conscious inner you, to the fore. Please begin. Well, here you are. Here you are. And would you consciously say to yourself, here I am. Here I am. I'm very, very conscious. Just either say that to yourself or feel that. Here I am. I am very, very consciously present. And now would you add, here I am, consciously present, connected to the God Spirit, consciously connected to the God Spirit. Would you accept that into yourself? Here you are, and you know this. Here you are connected. You are one in the Holy Spirit of God. Consciously. Would you please focus on that? And then would you just notice how good you feel right now, at this moment, when you are consciously connected to the God Spirit. Just notice how good you feel, how loving you feel, how happy you feel. Would you just acknowledge this? I really feel good. This is the real me. Just acknowledge your connection to the oneness of the divine and the good feeling it brings to you, consciously. Now, just being honest with yourself, isn't this the way that you want to be every day? I mean, isn't it simply true that, well, this is the way you want to show up in life? Isn't that true? And my presumption is, sitting here right now, you're saying to yourself, well, I think I will. There's no reason why I can't. I'm conscious. I'm in charge of myself. Why would I not show up as the God Spirit? Well, I certainly think you can. And I know that I can. We just need to keep supporting each other. And might I suggest that we do this in two ways. The first one, I encourage you to do your daily spiritual practices. They are what sustains you. They are what makes you loving and kind. But they're also what makes you smart, intelligent, no one's fool. I encourage you to do your daily practices, and especially that you might include at least weekly a practice with Now Creations or another spiritual group that feeds you. In addition to doing your daily spiritual practices, we grow so much better together in a group. I encourage you to make this commitment to yourself. There's a second thing. We are all involved in daily living. We are here to bring awareness to the planet. And sometimes life gets a little sticky, a little rough, challenging. So the second thing is to be able to sustain that presence amid the dramas of your life, of which there are many. But here's the point. It's very important for you to realize that you have within you an eternal stability point. You have within you a conscious, eternal stability point. It is the Holy Spirit. It is the God presence. The second thing I would then encourage you to do is to be daily in contact with this presence within you. Allow it to become more and more not just who you are, but allow it to become your stability point. Allow it to become the filter through which you see everything else. Would you take a moment to know this place within you, your connection point? And may you be resolved in the course of the day never to lose the connection, but rather in the midst of any challenge, in the midst of any drama, that you stay connected and allow the power to move you through the drama. And then I'll add just one more thing in a moment. Allow the power to move you through the drama, staying consciously connected. You can do this. You're ready. Now there is one more piece. We're not here just to deal with problems. We're here to create beauty. So as you are the all-the-time presence, may you be here joyfully, creatively. Have fun. Smile. Feel one. We're here to raise the quality of life. Start with your own, but don't let it stop there. May you just realize the beauty that you are. Bring heaven to earth wherever you are. Let the goodness unfold wherever you are. For wherever you are, well, the beauty of life is. God is. And you are the divine. As we play our closing song, may you acknowledge the Namaste within yourself.
Deep within, peace resides, faith abounds, and love abides. The light shines bright to love without, love within. I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. When you are where you need to be, within that space, I honor thee. Seen through eyes, an illusion, seen through spirit, we are one. I honor thee, I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee, I honor thee, I honor thee, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor thee. Namaste, I honor
I know you're enjoying what you now know. Paramahansa would always say, God, 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 God. Joy, 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 joy. Me, 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 me. All synonymous terms. God, joy, me. It's the way it is. Namaste.